Welcome to another podcast batch. It has been a great first day. Now we're into day number 2. We have a few awesome guests lined up for you today. If you're enjoying this, make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel and like and also subscribe. But make sure that you turn that notification bell on, because not only do we have more amazing guests showing up for you today, we also have another day that just kind of got scheduled yesterday as well. So next week on the 2nd, we'll be doing another batching day. This is actually going to get us all ready well into the future for all of our actual podcast drops throughout the year. We should be pretty right for guest interviews for at least the next 6 months. So I love a good batching day. So if you're not doing batching days in your business, I highly recommend that you do, because you can smash out so many things when you're only focusing in on doing that one thing. Even if it's not batching for a whole day like we've been doing, it could be batching just for an hour. I like to call them power hours, where you just try to smash out a lot of things in a short amount of time, but you turn off all your distractions for that. Anyway, let's meet our guest for this podcast episode. Our guest today is the Video Confidence Coach, who helps women and non-binary business owners become the obvious choice using their personalized video toolkit through clearer messaging, stronger personal branding, and practical video support. Now, she works Sally's tongue, it's early in the morning, and my tongue apparently has decided it wants to go around in the wrong circles. She works with thoughtful small business owners who are great at what they do, but tend to overthink what they say on camera. Who feels like that, right? But she loves to help them feel more natural, confident, and conversational on camera. You know, we always say educate and entertain, and Zoe is amazing at that. So let's welcome to the show Zoe Wood, our Video Confidence Coach. Yeah,
Ah,
here she is. Give her some sparkle, people. Hello, Zoe. I love it when we get to catch up. We've got a really cool episode for everyone today, but thanks for joining us. Lovely to see you. And for those who are listening, she's all dolled up as always. Looks like a doll. We love it, Zoe. Well, before we kick off everything, I'd love you to share, where were you and what gave you the idea to start your video confidence training school, right? Like, it's pretty awesome what you do with people, but give me a bit of the background history of, what was that journey to where you are now?
Thank you so much, Ali, and thank you so much for having me on the podcast for everyone to both hear and watch and listen. And yes, as you mentioned before, I like to doll up. I like to go full color, full glam. I am very blue. If you've ever come across me on the internet, I am very blue. To give foundations of what brought me to start the Video Confidence Coach, this was back in 2017. I had been running my previous business when I started when I was 14, so in the middle of high school, and this was just as the wave of digital video was becoming mainstream. Like, I remember at the start of my career when I was 14, I would make my way into business networking events saying, "Oh, I'm 18," when I'm clearly not. And people would ask me questions like, "Oh, you do stuff for TV, or for the movies, for film." There wasn't really any quite clear understanding of digital video or filming things for going online. That was still becoming like a new thing. And then it became very, very clear, very, very suddenly for a lot of people that, oh, I need to, be there. I need to be seen on social media, on my website, on YouTube, very YouTube especially. And I found out, especially when you're learning about yourself and growing a business at the same time, that I was spending 80% of my time just prepping people, like prepping my clients, preparing their staff, preparing my interviewees, whoever I was working with. 80% of my time was not actually being paid. And also 80% of that time was me just coaching them through the strategies, the process. And after all that time and effort to the rest of the 20% where I was getting paid, I'd push out a beautiful video, or as a good practice, multiple videos that say the same message that they can put everywhere. And then they wouldn't do anything with them. They would just sit on a corner of their website, or it would sit like on one page from like a one post on their page from 6 years ago, and that's all they would do with it. They would spend a lot of money for nothing, and then they would turn around and say, "Oh, it didn't work." Well, no, Sherlock. So that was mainly born out of frustration. So I started the Video Confidence Coach in 2017 as I was running my older business at the same time. And then it became quite clear that it turns out I can't run two businesses at the same time. So I had to close the older videography because I couldn't physically do it anymore. If you ever have videographers, marketing people working for you, photographers, pay them more or at least thank them more, especially to their faces. Highly recommend, because it is it is a trade at the end of the day. It is a very demanding job. And I can no longer physically do that anymore, which is why I help with the strategy, with the marketing. I spend more time with my clients because ultimately when they go to film, that is like one or 2% of the actual product. The rest of it is messaging. The rest of it is strategy. The rest of it is planning. The rest of it is actually uploading it online.
Yeah,
and Sally is a
not
good
just
example
learning.
of that. Your strategy is very clear. You try new things, you experiment new things, and you keep going. You don't just use one thing once, you use it many times. And I appreciate you being a good example for everyone watching and
Oh,
listening today.
yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? And we see this all the time. People will continuously make stuff, but then what? Right? It's so fun to make the stuff, but then what? Where's that strategy behind the video, behind the post, behind the content, right? Because otherwise, literally, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're hoping something sticks because strategy should always come first. And, you do great with giving people the confidence to do all of that. But if they're not thinking, but then what? Then it's just like a hobby, really, isn't it? Yeah. Well, our topic today is actually why smart business owners still freeze on video. So tell us, what are the most common reasons capable, responsible people actually struggle to gain traction in their business and in life?
Definitely. Well, to start off with, the people who are watching and listening today, of course, are very smart people. Like, you're actively taking steps to learn and grow and better yourself. So you're quite smart. You're actually taking those steps. But when it comes to video, and especially a lot of people that come to me, it's very clear that they've tried. Like, they've definitely given it a shot. They've recorded on their like mobile phone, or maybe they've been put in the situation where a lot of my clients in my previous business where they were kind of thrust into the camera with not a lot of prep, not a lot of practice, and then just told, "Go, do your thing." And you're standing there like, "What? What am I going to do?" And like, this camera is a piece of equipment at the end of the day. It's a piece of technology. It doesn't have it doesn't have a soul, doesn't have it doesn't have feelings. So what am I talking to here? And it can be very overwhelming. And also, especially when you are someone who wants to help and serve the people that you're here to serve, like, you're here on earth to serve. You can't do that if you don't have a clear message, if you don't have a clear understanding of who you're talking to, why that you're talking to them, and then the message to actually back up those previous 2 points. Because when you are standing there, being able to have some tried and true messages, personally, I recommend having like maximum 2 to 3. So then you get remembered for them quite quickly and quite easily. But also, you don't have to think too hard. You don't have to realize, oh, there's 1,000 things I could be talking about now. Blah, 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 blah. Everything kind of falls out of your mouth. Or
Yeah.
you freeze up and you don't say anything at all because there's too many things to choose from. Who am I talking to? What audience am I talking to? What? And then don't even get me started on the actual sales part of what you need to do, like the lead magnets or services or products you're offering. That's like another layer of things that can overcomplicate and force you to freeze. you are a smart, capable person. You are building a business, building a personal brand, whatever you are trying to do to better not just yourself and your family, but you're also doing it to serve your clients and to serve your audience.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to be clear,
Mhm.
because I know I have a problem of trying to be too clever, and then no one understands where I'm coming from, and then it kind of goes everywhere over everyone's head, and then I've just spent too much effort and time working on something that's not actually going to result in anything.
Well, I see that with clients. They have like their area of expertise and then they speak the jargon. And the people who need you don't know those words yet. Like we see it with life coaches, they'll use limiting beliefs. But what if you've never learnt about your limiting beliefs before? You know that you've got some kind of mindset thing that you need to work on. So being super clear. And I really love how you said just choose 1 to 3 things to talk on. One, you'll get better at presenting that, right? Because you'll do it multiple times. But what I've found over the time of presenting the same thing over and over again is other little stories sneak in, like your brain, because you've said the same thing, you just start to, what is it, like impromptu kind of stuff falls out of your mouth. I remember one of our staff members once said, if you talk long enough, good shit's will eventually fall out, right? So, and that's how I found like really good stories. I was presenting stuff about understanding how people learn, and I just shared a story about an umbrella, just kind of popped into my head. And at the end of it, people were like, I really loved that. And now it's like, okay, I've got to teach that all the time because it really showed that this one story, something I've been trying for years to get people to understand around messaging, they finally got it. And it was just through sharing a story, but when somehow this umbrella story came and just fell out of my mouth. But, you know, messaging, like you said, is so important. No jargon, keep it super simple. As I always say, write like a fifth grader. That's why I can do marketing copy because I'm not a writer, I'm a listener. Now, what about how can changing habits, because I know it can be really hard for people to show up and feel like you and I, people are probably looking at us and thinking, oh, they're so natural. It's easy for them. We didn't start like this. I was the big girl at school, right? You know, lots of bullying growing up. And you too, yeah, cuddly, I say. I'm cuddly. And when I started doing photography, I was always behind the camera. I even worked helping my husband in a TV show, again, behind the camera. And it was scary. But how can habits help people feel more present and grounded to be able to have confidence to actually, you know, hit that button to do videos?
Building habits is something that all of us can definitely attest to. Some of us have built not so great habits, but eventually when you look back and reflect with hindsight 2030, you're able to look back and realize, okay, I've actually developed some decent habits in my life. And that is the same with confidence, or obviously my particular niche, video confidence. Because confidence isn't actually, yes, it can be a feeling that you feel in your chest or your gut, depending, or your butt, depending on what you've had to eat in that day. And with that, it is practice. That's ultimately what confidence is practice enough that your comfort zone encapsulates any of that particular fear. Where, oh, for example, going through your day-to-day life, yes, getting in your car and driving along, for those of us who are able to drive and have access to a car, for example, those type of things, ultimately, yes, it was scary when you first drove. Why? Because you hadn't practiced. Or those who are in Australia, you got your learners, you went through a couple of tests, and then you kind of left there with a guardian or parental figure who probably is not very good at teaching you how to drive. If you have had a good someone who taught you how to drive really well, I commend you. You are the outlier here. Um, for everyone else who's learned to drive, but it's become part of your daily or weekly or monthly routine to the point where you're not scared of driving anymore because it's part of a habit that you've built over time. That is the same with communicating and messaging via video. It is something that you are practicing over time. The only reason that me and Sally are good at this and having great conversation is because we've practiced. We've done this more than once. And luckily enough, with that, we've been able to collect gear because we know that we know what it's for. You're able to slowly learn over time with the experience. But with that experience comes confidence because we've done it before. You can probably attest to this, Sally. We have run into so many technical difficulties.
Oh,
Nothing can
yes.
really phase me at this point.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I've got backups in case things go wrong. But video is a conversation with your audience. And the reason that I promote video so heavily is because it is the easiest way to communicate. And when I say easiest, I don't mean just for myself because I like it and I'm a drama queen. I'm saying for you, it's the easiest because you can communicate audibly, you can communicate visually, you can also show your emotions incredibly clearly. Don't get me wrong, text has its place. It can do what it needs to do. I'm slowly warming up to it after being born dyslexic and not realizing words actually have a purpose. I'm slowly getting there. Give me another 50 years and I'll probably be up to snuff with everyone else. In that meantime, I use video as a way of clearly communicating my intent, my emotions, but also my purpose. And not just with words, but also with the way that I dress. I dress flamboyantly. I talk with my hands like an Italian nonna because I want to be able to clearly express to you my passion, my enthusiasm for what I'm talking about. Yes, I've been talking about the same things for a very long time. I'm thinking almost a decade at this point. And previous to that, I started like over 15 years ago. Do math. I don't really do math, but I've been talking about the same things for this long, and yet I still have passion for it. Why? Because I care about the outcomes for the people that I work with, my clients, and that is also the same for you. If you lost your passion, that's okay. Take a break. You're probably burnt out. If
Yeah.
you still have no passion, then maybe find a career move and pivot. But for everyone else,
So why do you think that business owners still feel like a deer, like being struck in the headlights, and they're on camera and then they freeze, right? What do you think brings that on?
it's a combination of things. It can be a combination, but most of it is just feeling unprepared. This could be a case of not a whole lot of practice, like we've mentioned, or it could be the fact that you don't have a strategy or anything behind what you're doing. You're kind of just shooting from the hip, which I did for a large chunk of my business. Do not recommend. And as Sally is nodding to this, she probably agrees with me too. That you may not know what you're going into necessarily, but you have an idea. If you have an idea, you can plan, you can strategize, you can if you're going to record a video, think about what is it going to look like from the audience's point of view. Where are you going to, you don't even think about where it's going to be posted or anything like that type of end stuff, because once you've got it, you can put it anywhere. Don't worry about where it's going. Once you've recorded it, that's just getting over that hump first, allows you to then think about everything else. But in that meantime, if you feel unprepared, you are going to look unprepared. You are going to sound unprepared. And honestly, that's what people don't want. People are honestly scared of, for a lot of clients, and I'm sure you've come across this yourself, Sally, where people are scared of backlash, of not being taken seriously, of other people's, like, they're going to say something wrong and all of a sudden they're going to get, the entire hate train of the internet onto them. Unless you have some really dog shit values, that is not the case. And
No.
you are here to serve your audience. You are here to fulfill a purpose, provide a service, provide a product, or do both at the same time. You are here to serve people. And in turn, they need to pay you money to be able to gain access to resources, just because it's as simple as that. And when you are communicating via video, you are trying to communicate that intent to people who are stressed, who are overwhelmed, who know that they have a problem, or even the people, I want to say this clearly now, who don't know they have a problem, but you are the solution. And to do that, you need to be clear, you need to be kind, and you need to have a strategy to back up what you're saying. And hopefully you're able to do it in as clear language as possible so that their friends, their family members, their co-workers, their strangers on the street are able to recite your messaging and let them know, oh, I heard someone on a podcast who fixes this exact problem. Go talk to them. What are they called? I don't know, but they said something about being clear is kind. Go look them up. That's that mishap, that type of conversation, that enactment that we just did there, happens every single day, millions, billions of times a day. If your message is clear, people are going to talk about you, but you have to get out there in the first place.
That's
And
it.
if you are feeling scared or a deer in the headlights, take a break, take a pause, do a little bit of thinking, and try again, because
Yeah.
you can always do
And
it again.
it's wrong of them to not, because they're doing a disservice to the people who need their help. And like, we help service-based businesses, so most of them want to help people with something. And if you're not out there sharing your message with the world, telling people, then one, you're not helping, and secondly, you can't sell a secret, right, if you aren't showing up. And the cool thing with video is, sure, we can pay for marketing, but it is a free thing that you can do to share your message on YouTube, Facebook, and all the places, right? But I know people, they tend to overthink every word. Will this word be okay? What should the other, like, where do I go? Or they ramble. So how can you give some suggestions to how people can stop overthinking, like, all the words that they want to say during the lives or on their videos, and be able to get to the point faster?
To get to the point faster, it helps to have that end goal in mind. And I want to stress, not the end goal for you, the one who's speaking, the end goal for the person who's listening, the person who's watching. If you have a clear idea of who that is, and it helps to reduce all the overwhelm for yourself and your business, to have one person in mind. If you've ever heard of what is known as a client avatar or a custom avatar, if you've ever done any sort of marketing for your personal brand or your business, you've definitely come across this terminology. And essentially, this avatar is a fake person based on real people, but it allows you, as the person who is speaking, who is the leader of your business, who is the figurehead of your personal brand, whatever you're trying to do, it allows you to focus on that one person. It allows you to use the language that they would use, not just in searching for you online, but the language that they would use to communicate with you, have a conversation with you. And because you're trying to have a clear conversation, even though, unlike obviously in a situation like this while we're recording the podcast, there is a conversation between me and Sally going on. But when you are recording a video, you may not have that luxury of being able to bounce off another person. In those instances, we need to use our imaginations, the things that some of us may not have the opportunity to practice that often, and use it when we are communicating to our audience when faced with a camera that is silent, cold, and doesn't really give us much to work with.
So, what do you prefer? Do you prefer live streaming, or do you prefer to pre-record your videos? I know personally myself, I prefer to just do it live. I'm more natural when I'm live. I find when I'm pre-recording, I make lots of mistakes and I have to keep editing and doing the thing, where when I'm live, I kind of just sit into it a lot more. How about you? Like, what do you prefer or feel more comfortable
Mm.
with?
So I know that I definitely prefer pre-recorded, because I have that element of control, and that's probably a trauma thing more than anything, of just like that element of control. But I also know that I'm going to be the one dealing with the edit, which if you've ever
Mm.
been on a film set, or if you've ever going to be recording your videos, a terminology that I would like you to keep in mind is think of the edit. Think of the person who is going to be doing the work of trying to clean up the thing for the final product. And if that's you, sweetie, you're going to have to practice and try and get it done.
Yeah.
Or be happy with your mistakes, with your flubs. If you say the wrong word here or there, be happy with those mistakes,
Yeah.
unless you want to rigorously edit for hours to come.
So,
I
can
can,
you give
because
some
I'm a paid
tips?
video editor. Ooh,
Yeah. Can
yes.
you give us some tips? So, if you're saying think of the edit, what are some
Hmm.
tips that you should consider while filming?
So when you're filming, do your best to have everything, especially when you're filming yourself, try and keep everything as the same as possible. What I mean by that is to have your microphone either as close as you possibly can, like me and Sally have here, or if you're in that opportunity to have a microphone close enough to your face, have the camera stable, feel free to have it either on a tripod, on a computer, or like on a pile of books, whatever it is. If you're not touching it, awesome. That means it's going to be more stable. And having a consistent light source. Sometimes we don't have that opportunity. Sometimes we have to use the natural light of the sun. And in Australia, that may not be very good for you and your complexion. But for the rest of us, yeah. For the rest of us, being able to use some, even one light source that's just consistent is going to help you more than anything. So that's the technical side. And I like to address that, Sally, because that's usually what people think of first. They usually think of the technical side, the equipment, because when you think of a film set, you see instead of the people who are doing the work, you're usually seeing the equipment because it all looks very expensive, because it is, and very fancy, because it is. But for the rest of us who are trying to think of the edit and maybe don't have that opportunity to edit for whatever reason, whatever video you're doing out there, trying to think of these 3 points. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to pause. This is your video. This is your space. You can take as much time as you want to start. And once you get started, you're allowed to take breaks in between as well. Because in the edit, if you want to, you can edit that later. Obviously, when you're going live, like we are now, as we are recording this, you may not have that opportunity, but you're allowed to take a breath. It is okay to take a breath. Because I know I do that a lot too when I stumble over my words, because I'm so passionate about wanting to get the message out there that I stumble over my words.
I think on the fly too. I think it's ADHD, right? I'm thinking while the words are falling out of my mouth.
Exactly. And that's why it helps to have that ongoing message or those simple messages that you can fall back on as a way to kind of launch yourself forward, in the sense of, so envision a swimmer in a pool, Olympic if you feel like. And when they are on the blocks, either the raised area above a pool where they dive in before they start swimming, or that they're already in the water and they're kind of holding onto the edge of the pool for dear life, their legs are already in what I like to call frog position. They're in prime position. They're pushed there, so when they push their legs out, they can go much further than they would if they just kind of started from where they were in the middle of the pool. That is the same for you, with clear messages that other people can talk and other people can use. And if you have, I like to use 3 because I'm, a 3 or a 5. I like to keep things
I
odd
always
numbers.
swear I'll write a book. If you can't choose, just choose 3. All my friends and family say that around me now. Like, how many? Like, you want a grape? How many? I can't choose, just have 3.
Because that gives you a bit of option, and like you can go further if you want, or you can pull back if you want. 3 is like a nice number that I like to use. But going back on the tangent, with those messages that you are repeating again and again, as Sally mentioned before, you can find stories from those messages, that maybe new stories that you didn't even realize were things that you had in mind initially when you started recording the video. Think of it as a conversation, because that's what it is. Yes, the other person you're talking to is rather quiet, but I think we've had conversations like that in the past. I think we've all had conversations where the other person's not really given us a lot, but you're going to do your best to carry on anyway. And that's the same thing for your audience, because they want to see your interest. They want to see your passion. I know for a fact that I have watched videos on like volcanic paleontology. I don't think that's how it works. I was going to say volcanic geology for like an hour, because the presenter was so passionate about what they were talking about, was so ingrained and so interested. Did I understand what any of the words mean? No. But I still felt engaged because I felt their passion and their interest. And that is the same for you. Yes, you will have to practice, because like anything good and worth doing, you're going to have to practice a little bit. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm working with someone right now who didn't even want to touch the record button like 2 weeks ago. It was like, didn't even want to touch it. And then is now actively recording videos every day, because they practiced. They broke past not just the self-conscious barrier, but they realized that it's not for them. Their personal brand, their business, the message that you're doing is not for you, it's for your audience. Yes, you may be the figurehead, you may be the one spouting the messages, you may be the one doing the work, but it's not for your benefit. It is for their benefit. And if you cannot put them forward, especially for a lot of the women that I work with, if you can't put them forward, then don't be doing it. then don't be pushing if you can't put your audience forward. Not necessarily that it's going to push past every single block that you have in front of you, but it should reduce a fair few of them if you want to take advantage of video, which is still core. It's been 20 years, and video online is still the best method to get information out there. Once there are holograms and everyone's using them, holograph video confidence, holograph confidence coach. I'm going to be there.
So funny. What about, like, we touched a little bit on the tech. So tell me, what sort of, I always say you can start with a phone, right? You can start with a phone, and this day and age, the phone, the camera quality, it's better than even some of the DSLRs out there, right? I think I look back to my very first EOS. got the very first EOS DSLR on the market, and I look back at it now, and you know what? It's still okay. But the cameras that we now get in our phones are pretty reasonable. But beyond the phone, what are some of the other sort of techie tools with video that you personally use?
So what I usually recommend is very much dependent on people's situation. And obviously that's why I like to have a chat with people, because the amount of time and effort that you're willing to invest in something also depends on the learning curve that you're willing to put into something, and the type of technology that you're using. But a good basic thing that I like to recommend to people is a phone, preferably something within the past 5 years, because the technology, despite how they want to sell it to you, is pretty much at a decent peak now. Like everything's pretty much the same, and all new phones are kind of inching slowly forward over each other. So a phone that's pretty decent. Please make sure you clean your camera lens.
Yeah.
Your phone has been everywhere. Your phone has been everywhere. Please clean it before you use it.
Yep.
A good rule of thumb is to use the lenses on the back of the camera, just because you'll be able to see that they're much bigger than the ones being used on the front of the camera. And even though you might be able to see yourself, you're going to get distracted by seeing yourself a little bit. So try to use the ones on the back of the camera. The other two things that you would need to think of, or other three things I should say, is stabilization. So for your camera, holding it with your hand is fine. It can be quite distracting and could be quite painful after a while, after you're holding it and your arm is starting to sag. Try your best to either put it on either a tripod, which is a three-legged device where you can keep it there, or maybe stack it on some books, or if you've got like a holder, stack it on your laptop, wherever is going to be more comfortable for you, as long as your camera is at your eye line. So you're not looking down. So I know that we've all had those conversations on Zoom or Teams where the person's kind of looming over you, because their laptop is like on their lap.
Yeah, and I don't want the camera down low because you get the double chin effect going on, right? I always
and they can also see the gold nuggets in your nose.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something good up there, but I don't think you need to be seeing it the entire time we're chatting. Probably a good rule of thumb. And having it any higher makes you look small, and it kind of defeats kind of the purpose. So having it either at your eye line, so then when you're talking to it, you're speaking to it as an equal, as opposed to too high or too low.
What mic gear do you use?
That was going to be my second thing.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching us, we have, so me and Sally have really big microphones that are right near our face, because that captures the best sound quality. And for that, we have steady microphones. I use a Rode PodMic microphone, because I just plug it in, does what it needs to do. It's big. Yes, it's like a $300 investment, but it's the best $300 you're going to spend if you
and they're
do the work that we...
directional as well, so it doesn't get as much of that ambient sound. So if my husband walks in with my coffee, most people can't hear him. And I've got 4 different Rode mics. I've got this big sucker here that needs a whole other box for it to run through a mixer. Then I've got the white USB version, so that one was really good. That was my starter before I got this one. I've also got a USB travel mic, but it still comes on a stand. And then I've got my Rode lapel mics, which I love.
And that last one was the one I was going to recommend for people. Yeah. So a lavalier or a lapel. So those are pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So if you've ever looked on TV and the people who are chatting on the TV have these tiny little black dots that are on their chest, or sometimes the different colors depending on what they're wearing, those are what is known as lapel microphones. And essentially what it does, if you are filming on a big film set, they need to be able to capture your voice, but the cameras are all the way over there. How are they going to capture them? They capture them by having the microphone as close to the mouth as possible without being too distracting. And that is the same for you. So I recommend Rode because it's an Australian brand and they're fairly consistent and they've got a good return policy. So if they stuff up, they actually do their job.
They're really good, right? I love Rode, and one, Australian, and we love to support Aussies. But because that's what they do, it's not just an add-on. Mic and sound is what they do. So it's also fabulous quality. And we worked on a TV show as well, and that's all we use is Rode because the quality and the customer service and, like you said, the return policies are really good.
Exactly. And with those lapel microphones, specifically Bluetooth lapels. Now, Bluetooth, I have another conversation to have entirely. But essentially, those are usually boxes. If you've ever seen them on social media, someone has a little like black box that's just on their chest that they've clipped there, usually has a Rode brand across it. That is a lapel microphone that's Bluetooth. So they don't have any wires. They don't have anything that they need to catch on. And they can go as far away from the camera, honestly, as far as they like, while still being captured by the camera. And for a lot of younger viewers, you'll be able to, so you viewers, a lot of younger speakers and creators, you'll see that they attach those lapel microphones to a spoon, to other implements that they can hold with their hands.
Because they've got a cool little magnet. And if you want to hide it, you can actually put the microphone underneath and the little tiny magnet on the front. I do that as well. Yeah.
And that allows you to capture everything.
Yeah,
as well
it's
as
great.
that
And
sound.
when you're interviewing, because we got the double pack, so when you can interview and you're out and about on the street, it's really good because you get those two separate soundtracks as well, but they both come in as stereo. What about lighting? What do you use for lighting?
So when it comes to lighting, I am a good fan of the ring light. If you've ever come across them, they have them in Kmart now to the point where like they're very ubiquitous.
Right? Oh, I remember my first one was so expensive, and then they started popping up in Kmart for like $20, $30, and I'm like, what?
I know, I was so upset too. I'm just like, whoa, I spent so much. So essentially a ring light is a light, as you can imagine, that is in the shape of a ring. And you'll be able to see this if you look really closely in anyone who wears glasses or anyone who has like, you're really close to their eyes, you'll be able to see this ring. And essentially what this does is it does two things. It enables you to have a light source that can project light out cleanly, so there's no like shadows, too much shadows. And because it's around the camera lens usually, it allows you to have a really like clear like lighting. You don't have any bags under your eyes from lights that are above you. You don't have to worry about having multiple sources of light to try and make sure that you're covering all your angles. And I'm not going to get into any technical terms for anyone watching here because we are not in school today. But in those lights, it is something that is also very consistent. So you plug it in, it just does its job. Sometimes you might need to fiddle around with the settings depending on how pale you may or may not be.
Yeah, or the color of the clothing that you wear can blow out your white balance. Yeah.
So in those instances, having a constant source of light is awesome. If you don't have that, natural light is fine. Just be aware that it is going to move and you can't control it as much. In those instances for everyone else, I love the opportunity of just having a ring light just sitting there at the camera. You can tweak it a little bit to get it right and making sure that the room around you is nice and dark so then the light can just do what it needs to do at the end of the day. Yeah, and you don't need to putz around with it.
I don't know how many little ring lights I've got sitting around everywhere, but they're so handy, and the fact that they come with like a phone holder in them as well, so you've got your tripod and your ring light all in one. It makes it super handy as well. My setup's a little bit more. I've got a fill light, a key light, and a backlight, and I use Elgato. That's my brand of choice for lighting. I know in America that it's a sort of the same style, Elgato. I don't know if it's a rebranded version of what they use. What's the name of it?
There may be like trademark and
it's like
I think there's like a copyright thing.
Yeah, and
but ultimately.
Yeah, but I like Elgato. One, because like I can literally on my phone, I can just like click buttons and turn it on and off straight from my phone. And then also like if I forget to turn the lights off in the office and I'm in the house, I can just turn them off from here.
We
do
love
you have
automation from the automation queen.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Actually, Ash and I were having a conversation yesterday about people and automation and thinking automation is AI, and it's not. Like, it's very different. And Ash is really starting to notice that coming up in a lot more conversations that have been happening. I know we're on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I thought that we might actually bring her, Ash and I might make another episode. It was really fun yesterday. I had Ash on doing co-hosting with me. She wanted to co-host with you, but I had to pull the boss on her and say, no, you've got work to do.
She's got work to do and you have to go do the work.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that feeling. Sorry, Ash,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye. So any other little tools and things that you might use or, and like, look, you got a phone, guys. You got natural light. You can make video. But as you start to, make more money and you want more things, what are some other cool little tools and techie bits that you might play with?
So once you start getting a little bit above, so you can start putting some resources into it. Resources, and when I like to use the term resources because it's not just about money, even though money is a big part of it. It's also the time that it takes to learn how to use the equipment, or getting the staff to then help you with the equipment, the processes that everything backs. There's a lot of resources that goes into up leveling your equipment. But if you are investing time, my rule of thumb is if you are doing more than half an hour of using a piece of equipment, or you're going to be doing more than half an hour of this work per week, it's imperative that you make it easier on yourself to the point where the setup that we're using here, for example, with Sally today, I imagine you already had everything backed up with Ecamm, which is the service we're using to conduct this recording today. Also, you've got your lights as you showed before. You've got your camera going. You've got your mic going. Like, you don't need to constantly keep setting up everything every single time, because you've just set it and forget it. For everyone else, you want to be able to invest in some better microphones. That's usually my first port of call.
Yes.
If your microphone sounds better, doesn't matter how crap you end up looking, if your microphone's good, you are good.
And so you're another person who said the same thing. We had Katie from Ecamm on as well as a guest. She's been back a few times, and one of her fast talk questions was camera or microphone. And even though they're a video, she's like, microphone. Because the sound, especially, a lot of people will listen to things without even watching it. And I do it regularly. I'll listen to YouTube while doing other things. The sound quality makes a big difference, for sure.
And once you've started getting to that level, then you can maybe start looking into better lighting. Because like camera at the moment, when it comes to the quality, if your phone's doing the job, awesome. If you're plugging it into, say, a desktop or a laptop situation, maybe investing in a basic mirrorless DSLR. So essentially a digital, a big honkin' chonkin' thing, usually with very large lenses on it. At the moment, there are a lot of smaller mirrorless, so the information goes, it doesn't have to worry about bouncing off anything, it just goes straight into the actual piece of technology. Those are becoming better and better and better over time, to the point where they have a very small frame. Like when I say size, they're very small, they're very light. You can use them in more than just, say, a office setup like what me and Sally have here. You can take it out and about. You can record your services in action or something like you. To be able to have a camera that does more than one thing is better for not just the money that you're spending, but the time that you're spending to learn how to use this thing, because you can use it everywhere.
I remember when I got my Stream Deck for the first time, it was like the only thing I had on it was stop sound and come back to me, because I'm like, how do I but now I love my Stream Deck. It's got buttons for so many things. All right. Well, Zoe, let's move into fast talk. I love this part of it. So you have 2 minutes and we're going to throw questions at you. Where's my little scene button? It's hiding on me.
And you're going to come across this a lot as you get better at technology. You're going to make things a bit too complicated for yourself, and then you're going to have to write it
back. Just like this. Like, where is my scene window? It has totally gone on me. I'm just going to come back over here to the window area. Is my Stream Deck hiding it? No. Oh, it's been moved over here. There we go. Okay. Fast talk. Let's do it. So, shoes or bags?
Definitely shoes.
Sneakers or heels?
Heels, but heel boots specifically.
Yeah, I wish. I've had too many back surgeries. Live show or podcast?
Podcast, unfortunately. Live shows are good, but I like podcast.
Yeah, audiobooks or podcasts?
Podcasts. Oh, yep.
Yeah, reading or Audible?
Audible.
Yes. Do you like the going to the forest or the beach?
Forest.
Yes, no sand in my bits.
No, I don't need that in my house, thank you.
Morning or evening?
Morning, despite everyone else in my household. I am very much a 5 a.m. girly. You wake up, you do your thing, and then I crash by 2 p.m.
Yeah. City or country?
Country. I've learnt to love the country, despite how I was raised in the country to begin with.
Long walks or long car rides?
Long walks. I highly recommend if you're able to go on walking meetings with clients. Best thing I've done.
Favorite sport?
At the moment, what's it called? I don't even remember what it's called.
It's a sport.
Extreme chasey, like the chasey that is on, like when I say chasey, as in like people chase people around a full-on obstacle course.
Okay.
And it's on ESPN. It is beautiful. It is so stupid, but it's beautiful.
Favorite food?
At the moment, I'd say hazelnut chocolate, because I'm in a mood at the moment, and we go with hazelnuts because I can't eat them otherwise.
Biggest fear?
Running out of time.
I want to know anyway. Come on, what's your biggest fear?
I would definitely say at the moment, we've recently had a couple of passings of our family members at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
And I'd say my biggest fear at the moment would be living with regret, because I've done my best to instill on myself, my clients, my family, to, if you want to do something, do it. Don't wait for things to hold, arbitrary things to hold you back.
Yes.
Because we're not going to make it as one of my family members said to me yesterday, none of us are making it out of this alive. So do what you want, do what you can. Yeah. And yeah, so that's definitely what's been on my mind as of late. I know that's bringing a bit of a downer.
No, not at all. Look, I've got a thing back there on a chalkboard that my daughter made, this chalkboard, and I had this quote after we lost our son, which was, don't sweat the small shit, right? Because life is so short. And I think we don't make it out of this alive. And those that do leave us, leave something with us, right? Like, I don't look back, yes, it's sad that I lost my son, but I look at his life as a blessing, because it made myself and my husband change the directory of what we do for a living. Because we also don't want to do shit we hate just because we need money. We decided to do things that we love because life is too short to sweat the small shit, right? So people, even when they pass, I think there's some blessing that they've left on us. When Danny's grandmother, she was 90-something, 93, 94, and she was getting close to, she was in palliative care, and she was happy. She's like, I've lived a good life. I'm ready to go home. And I'm like, geez, I hope I go out like that, right? I have no regrets. I've lived a good life, and I'm just ready for the next bit. And it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And, that was the last conversation we had with her. And it was just so wonderful that she's lived such an inspiring life. She's written a couple of books. She was a public speaker. To now, to leave the world with no regrets, right? And I look back through things I could have done. I don't know about you, right? I think could have done music, could have done singing. I see the people singing in that, and I'm like, oh, my heart. Sometimes I'm like, could have, but I do love what I do, and it's not saying that I'm too old that I can't do it, but it is something that personally myself, I would love to give more time to again one day. How about you? Is there something that you look back at and you think, Could have or might do in the future?
Definitely, there was a lot of parts during my life where one thing that I would recommend to anyone: don't have your regrets in life be based around other people. I know that sounds a bit mean, but like that was something that I had to kind of reconcile for myself. Of I can't change someone else's feelings or behavior, and that's not a regret that should fall on me. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
one thing I know that I want to do, or definitely want to do before I kick the bucket, is definitely go to Antarctica. I love the cold. I love to be able to, and I want to be able to travel more. Of course, with as we're recording this, things are getting spicy on the
Yeah.
fuel side of things. But for I want to be able to go to Antarctica and experience what it's like to move through that, and that is something that I'm actively planning and actively moving towards. And
Nice.
I do my best not to live with those regrets, especially if they're put on by other people, because my
Mm.
life, I can do what I want, and that's the same for you.
Yeah, 100%. That's really good because so often we think that we've failed at something and it's usually because of somebody else or, and we can only control what we can control. Like I love him. I watch my husband watch the news and he's yelling at the TV and like those bigger things. I don't watch the TV because I just get too, I don't want to. I don't need to. If it's big and bad enough, someone's going to tell me about it and somebody that I trust, not the news that are making things like blown out of proportion because that's how they get viewers, right? So I'm very like somebody exactly, and like all the price stuff that's going on right now with the fuel, and anyway, that's like we don't do politics and religion here because when I used to work in a pub, it was always no politics, no
No
religion,
religion.
no
And
religion.
if you do, go outside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not our problem.
Exactly. All right, Zoe. As always, I love catching up with you, but if people want to find out more about Zoe, where can they go and stalk you?
You can definitely stalk me on my website, vcc.training. That's the whole thing. There's no .com.au. I may look into other domains that I can cipher later, but for now, you can definitely check me out at vcc.training. I was about to say .com there.
Excellent.
vcc.training. I'm going to remind that for myself and for you. vcc.training. Everything will be there, and everything that you need, including free tools and tips to get you started, as well as things to help you grow, because video is not easy, but you need a community and someone to help you in the meantime.
Yes. And for those who don't know, Zoe is actually one of our experts now inside of the OmniSpark Academy, and with regular sessions every week coming in to teach you all things camera confidence. So we're so excited to have you as part of our experts. So anyone who is part of the Academy or the studio clients, just check out our calendar of events and you'll be able to see Zoe in there. What's some of the things that you'll be speaking on, Zoe, for your expert sessions?
So we've definitely got a fair few lined up. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but we're definitely doing a lot on messaging and the basics, as we talked today, about getting your video basics ready, and also building a regular habit, because video is not, if it's not building a habit, I don't know what else is when it comes to messaging yourself and messaging a brand. And we're definitely talking a lot about repurposing. A lot of people, especially in the Spark Academy, are putting a lot of effort into creating stuff, but then they kind of just put it out there and just bleh. I want to be able to make sure that if you're putting in the effort, you can use it again and again and again. And if not, we can edit it to make it work.
Awesome. All right. Well, Zoe, we'll have to get you back on the show for more hot tips around video. You know I love it. It's how we stay front of mind, tip of tongue with people. But again, thank you so much for spending the time with me this morning. And I hope that those who are out there watching and listening, you got some real value from today and some food for thought around how to do your setup and, a little future planning for some techie tools that you might want in the future. Like I love all my little gadgets and gadgets, but you don't need them, right, to hit that go live button. All right. As always, never let anyone dull your sparkle. Get one income producing activity done every day, and every day be marketing. Come on, you can do the Ash bit if you like.
Every marketing. I'm not impersonating you, Ash. I love you.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a good one. And I'll be back still on the odd hours. So I'll be back soon with our next guest, but have a great one and bye for now.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares